Evening, everyone. On behalf of IGNCA and CATS, I welcome all the speakers and each one of you to the Play Story session of Festival of Places 2020-21, jointly hosted by Indira Gandhi National Center for the Arts, IGNCA New Delhi, and CATS. The Festival of Places is an initiative of CATS, a not-for-profit organization working in the area of heritage conservation, management, and advocacy since 2001. We at CATS feel very strongly about the dismal state of public spaces in our cities and firmly believe change in the way we think, talk, and use public spaces can only begin at the grassroots by creatively engaging people with places and empowering them to make a difference to the places and spaces around. The Festival of Places is an idea born out of the spirit of volunteerism to come together, collaborate, co-create, and celebrate places that nurture health, happiness, and foster community living. Moreover, the festival aims to help discover the much overlooked human dimension of places. The main highlight of the festival this year is Play Stories, a series of online storytelling sessions that help understand the hidden dimensions, multiple interpretations, and varied memories associated with places, highlighting their distinct characteristics as well as unraveling the bond that people have with them, a connection that lives through their experiences. The storytelling sessions by professionals, scholars, and students from diverse fields focused on public spaces have been planned around the idea of exploring memory in places. Connections with water can be sensorial, spiritual, and contemplative. Today, we will witness the flowing waters of the mighty Ganges River as it passes through the city of Kanpur and spend some time at the Love Kush Barrage away from the crowds of Kanpur city, which was once the most important commercial and military stations of British India, well known as the Manchester of the East. Does the name Love Kush Barrage ring a bell in your ears? Just 15 kilometers upstream, situated on the right bank of the Ganga, are the famous Bithur Ghats, center of Hindu pilgrimage. According to legend, Bithur is the birthplace of Rama's son, Love and Kush. So let us walk today in the company of a young budding filmmaker and an urban designer to explore two different types of public spaces along the Ganga River in Kanpur and pause for a while to reflect and meditate on two different cultural responses to the same river, but centuries apart. The title of today's play story is Love Kush Barrage Kanpur, and the theme for the session is Connecting Spaces with Water. Our play storyteller for the session, Mr. Rohan Mathur, will be taking us around the place and share his memories with us. The place expert for the session, Mr. Rajat Malhotra, will take a deeper look into the public spaces that connect us with water and explore the experiences and memories associated with them, as well as his personal connection with the place. Our play storyteller Rohan Mathur is a budding filmmaker. He is 19 years old and lives in Kanpur. He is a state-level debater and orator and has represented Uttar Pradesh in several elocution competitions. He is currently studying film production at Dice School of Entertainment Arts. He loves theatre as an art form and has acted in multiple plays in his city. He's also lent his voice to several Shakespearean characters in the plays. Place expert Rajat Malhotra, principal architect and urban designer at Volume Zero, was born in Kanpur. After completing his schooling from Methodist High School, Kanpur, he completed architecture from Siddhganga Institute of Technology, Tumkur, Karnataka. He worked in Bangalore for some time and later completed his master's degree in urban design from SET University, Ahmedabad. Rajat has worked and trained for leading architects like Didi Doshi, Prashant Pol, Vijay Arya, Team 3 architects in Ahmedabad, Bangalore, and Delhi over the span of 7 years. He now heads his own practice, Volume Zero. He is also engaged in teaching specifically urban design and architecture at various design institutes. We also have on board with us Mr. Jiten Arora, head DICE DSS School of Entertainment Arts, as a discussant for the session. We now begin our conversation around Love Kush Barrage, Kanpur, and I would like to invite Rohan to begin with this talk.
Thank you, ma'am, for the introduction. Good evening, everyone. To begin with, I'd like to talk about in brief the religious and historical significance Kanpur as a city holds in Indian history. And for that, could you please screen share, sir?
Just give me a second, Rohan.
Sure, sir.
Could you please enable the screen sharing for me, Urvashima? All right. Sorry about the delay. Yeah, here we go.
Right. So up until 6, 7 years ago, my father and I, we used to travel to the Ghats in Bithur almost every week. So Bithur is a district that's about 25 kilometers from the city center. As legend has it, Brahmadev is said to have performed 99 yagnas here, and with this, he began the creation of mankind as we know it. This place came to be known as the Brahmavart Ghat. Brahmadev is said to have left the nail from his khadau or slipper here, and ever since, this place came to be known as the center of the earth. You can see the nail from his khadau in the photo, surrounded by flowers. Next slide, please. So, thousands of years later, at the outbreak of the revolt of 1857, Kanpur became the seat of the indomitable freedom fighter Nana Sahib and his close associates Tantia Tope and Azimullah Khan. On the 27th of June 1857, over 400 British men, women, and children were murdered at the Sati Chaura Ghat in Kanpur, following a rebellion led by Nana Sahib. Soon after, when the British fought back and attacked the fort, hundreds of women and children jumped into the well you can see on screen and killed themselves instead of dying at the hands of the British. Next slide, please. Right. So in the 19th century, Peshwa Bajirao II, the father of Nana Sahib, he got the Valmiki ashram constructed here in Bithur. It is believed that Valmiki wrote the Ramayana here on this soil. While during Devi Sita's exile, Love and Kush were born and taught by Valmiki here in his ashram, hence the name Love Kush Baraj. Thank you, sir. So Kanpur has had its fair share in Indian history, having played an important role in the Indian freedom struggle as well. Presently, Kanpur has a lot of ghats that were very recently given a makeover by the government under the Namame Gange program that provides for the regular cleaning and maintenance of these ghats. We're all familiar with the fact that the Ganges is worshipped by millions of people across the country, and ever since the barrage was constructed here in Kanpur, it has drawn more engagement than ever. Not only is the barrage a mere bridge meant for transportation, but it has by far become the most visited tourist spot in the city. And we'll find out why in just a while. Thank you.
Thanks, Rohan. I will now share the film.
Sprawling over the Ganges River is the Love Kush Barrage in Kanpur city. Popularly known as the Ganga Barrage by the residents of Kanpur, it runs across one of the largest rivers in South Asia, the Ganges. Ever since its construction in 2005, the barrage has been claimed as a public space by us Kanpurites. Though there are several public spaces in the city, you would never find one as crowded as the barrage. Nonetheless, nothing comes close to the tranquility you'd experience here, sitting by the ghat. The barrage essentially controls the water of the Ganges River and brings the holy Ganga water back to the ghats for devotees' sake. The barrage today withdraws over 200 million liters of water every day from the Ganges, and this number is expected to grow by 8 folds in the next 10 years. The barrage also serves as the shorter route for those who are traveling outstation and taking the highway. The barrage has 2 roads. With the Ganges flowing right under it, the place has become a must stop and visit site, especially for the localites. It wasn't until recently, that is the last 5 years, that it has become a hub of visitors for both locals and for people from outside the city. On no given day, exempting the lockdown, would you find the area a little less crowded than the previous day. You would find people across all age groups with family family and friends at any hour of the day here. As for me, I never fail to pay a visit to the barrage once every month. I've always preferred to visit the place very early in the morning just to see the sun rising, as if almost from inside the Ganges. I also never miss taking a boat ride in the evening around sunset. The boatsmen here would usually give you half a round of the river if they're able to figure out that you're not a localite, while charging you the same amount of money they would for a full round. And for those wishing to get away from all the hullabaloo of the city, the barrage is their go-to place. For many of us Kanpurites, the barrage offers an experience similar to something you'd expect while sitting by the beach, probably somewhere in Goa. The lush green expanses around the barrage, along with the constant water flow, make it an ideal spot for nature buffs. During the monsoon season, the bridge remains closed due to the uncontrolled flow of water near it. And if you were to visit Kanpur during the winters, you wouldn't want to miss the surreal sunsets you can see from here. In the last decade, however, there has been a steep rise in the number of people drowning or committing suicide in the Ganges. According to the Hindustan Times, over 2,000 people have either drowned or committed suicide in the river to date. It is not unknown to the localites visiting the barrage that there is a great amount of risk involved if you step down from the barrage and move closer to the water. The policemen in the area, however little in number, would always advise you to exercise caution. During my recent visit to the barrage, I stepped down from the main road to have a closer look at the infamous death points near the river, something I'd never really paid attention to on my previous visits. I noticed that the rocks on the riverside had heavy deposits of moss and seaweed. Upon further research, I figured that moss, an extremely slippery substance, makes these rocks extremely difficult to stand on or balance your body on. Those willing to walk on these rocks towards the river in hopes of touching the water or getting a selfie often ignore these depositions and end up slipping into the water, which is about 35 to 40 feet deep. Even worse, sometimes you won't be able to spot these deposits. The Ganges invites a lot of people to come and exercise fishing, which is by law forbidden in the area. There is also no restriction on the number of people entering the area. There is simply a slope which you will have to descend to access the riverbank, and this only makes it easier for people to casually walk down the slope and sit next to the riverbank whilst not knowing of the danger they are putting themselves into. Surprisingly, the place has not been barricaded to prevent people from going near the river beyond a certain distance. The flow of the river takes with it everything that comes in its way. The only people who live to tell the tale are those who are saved by the local divers and fishermen. Well, only if they're around. The locals, mostly fishermen, who had their huts not far from the barrage, told me of how the local authorities could have saved several lives had they implemented the usage of nets. In most cases of suicides, people jump into the river from the barrage, while it is not uncommon for people to drown in the river when they're near these moss-laden rocks. One of the fishermen narrated to me the story of a girl who had drowned in the Ganges. The locals had helped fish the girl's body out, but she had over half a liter of water flushed down her throat by the Ganges. No wonder the girl didn't survive. What is the experience of you coming to Ganges, इधर गंगा बराज?
We are swimmer. हम लोग swimmer हैं और इसलिए हम लोग स्विमिंग के लिए यहाँ पर आते हैं। इस वक्त कानपुर में स्विमिंग के लिए सबसे अच्छी जगह है जहाँ साफ पानी है वो ये गंगा बैराज के पास ही है। पहले यहीं पर एक घाट बनना था, लेकिन क्योंकि ये जगह जो है बैराज के पास पड़ती है इसलिए यहाँ पर परमिशन नहीं मिली, तो थोड़ा इससे नीचे जाके वहाँ अटल घाट बना। लेकिन उस घाट में लोग अभी भी वहाँ पर कोई नहीं जाता नहाने के लिए, क्योंकि धारा यहीं पर सबको मिलती है, पानी यहीं पर सबसे अच्छा है। नीचे और जितने भी घाट हैं सबसे अच्छा पानी यहीं पर है।
अच्छा, ओके। एंड आप स्विमिंग करते हैं?
हाँ,
करेक्ट। अच्छा, नहाते भी आप रिवर में?
जी बिल्कुल।
अच्छा, कभी फिशिंग की आपने यहाँ पे?
नहीं, हम लोग फिशिंग नहीं करते।
अच्छा अच्छा।
फिशिंग नहीं करते। एक्चुअली यहाँ पर बहुत सी बोट्स फिशरमैन आते हैं और सब इस पूरे एरिया को मतलब घेर लेते हैं और मछली पकड़ते हैं, लेकिन रिसेंटली अभी कुछ मना कर दिया गया उनको। तो जब से वो लोग नहीं आ रहे, जब से यहाँ बर्ड्स बहुत आती हैं, झुंड के झुंड बहुत सी बर्ड्स आती हैं और वो पानी में जा करके अपना मछली भी पकड़ती हैं, शिकार करती हैं, फिर उड़ जाती हैं ऐसी बर्ड्स।
मेरा सवाल आपसे है कि इस गंगा बैराज में आपको ऐसा क्या लगता है कि ये क्या एक गंगा माँ है, क्या एक नदी बह रही है, क्या एक बीच जैसा एक्सपीरियंस आता है? आपको क्या लगता है कि इस बैराज में ऐसा क्या है कि यहाँ पे इतने सारे लोग आते हैं?
ये साक्षात यहाँ का वातावरण इतना अच्छा है और साक्षात भगवती माँ है गंगा, इनकी हम लोग पूजा करते हैं। जैसे सूर्य भगवान प्रत्यक्ष देव है, ऐसे प्रत्यक्ष भगवती माँ हम लोग इनको मानते हैं।
क्या यहाँ पे आपने कोई किसी को डूबते हुए देखा है या किसी को कोई मौत देखी है कभी?
देखिए।
अच्छा, तो क्या था, कोई यंग लोग थे?
हाँ, यंग था। एक लेडीज हमारे सामने जस्ट सुबह सुबह वहाँ बड़ा से कूदी थी। नाव वाले कुछ लोग थे, वो लोग वो लोग गए, डूबने जा रहे थे। लास्ट में वो नाव वाले नाव वाले गए, दोनों लोग ने हाथ पकड़ के बचा लिया, फिर उसको यहाँ लाया गया, फिर पुलिस का रेस्क्यू भी दिया गया। कई घटना हुई, जब शाम को वहाँ से घूमने के लिए, तो एक बंदा वहाँ से अंधेरा हो गया तो वहाँ से कूदा, मगर उसके कपड़े कूदा तो एयर फंस गई उसकी, तो अंदर नहीं जा पाई। फिर हल्ला मचाने लगा कि भैया बचाओ बचाओ। हम लोग ने पता क्या बात है, फिर हम लोग की नजर पड़ी, उन्होंने दो नाव यहाँ दूर तक बहुत सावन भादो जाए खूब पानी गिर रहा था। फिर हम लोग जाके वहाँ बीच में जाके नाव लेके फिर उनको वहाँ से बचा के लाए हम लोग।
The situation worsens because there is no actual demarcation between the river and the rock floor. A few signboards here and there state very clearly that it is prohibited to step down on the rock floor or to take a bath in the downstream. Nonetheless, people are now used to bathing in the river on a daily basis. Recently, many projects have been proposed near the barrage. The Kanpur Development Authority, the KDA, has approved of a botanical garden project. The project aims at providing a leisurely and educational area for kids, a museum block, banquet halls, a gaming area, and a food court. A Delhi-based company by the name of Design Accords has shared the 3D renders of how the place would look like once it's completed. In November of 2020, a Ganga Barrage Area Development Committee was constituted. The committee, besides developing the area in a planned way, checks illegal activities of private builders and property dealers in the area. Another major project called the Trans-Ganga City has been introduced to create a modern-day township. Spread over 1100 acres, this would involve developments such as a mega mall, multiplexes, multi-storied residential complexes, and an exhibition center, all in a housing society. One can imagine the inflow of people near the barrage when the construction of these numerous projects is completed. Members of the government, It so seems are quite frankly keen on making only infrastructural developments in and around the barrage while not focusing on the problems that affect the common man regularly. With many projects near the barrage being greenlit and with a township under construction, you could only imagine the number of accidents that could take place here. Most fortunately or unfortunately, the barrage is one of the first places that'll come to mind when you'd like to take a quick break from life. Believe me, nothing comes close to sitting by the riverside with a cup of chai or coffee and a plate of Maggie. And in my humble opinion, the local police force and the authorities must issue guidelines and impose strict restrictions on certain activities, such as taking selfies or sitting by the riverside near the moss-laden rocks. Placing warning signboards just doesn't help. Most importantly, the usage of nets must be ensured. It is surprising that the number of policemen in the area are quite less in proportion to the number of visitors you would find here at any point in time. Construction in and around the barrage takes place almost throughout the year, but we haven't quite witnessed the authorities take any action so as to make the place safer for those who are quite literally walking into a death trap unknowingly.
Sohan, thanks for sharing this story about Lakhush Barrage. It's a very interesting take on modern spaces. The need for connecting to water is so very critical for each one of us. So let's take the story forward by inviting Rajat Malhotra to present his memories and story about spaces that connect us with water in Kanpur.
Thank you, ma'am. So before starting the talk, I believe that we should first understand that where Kanpur and Barrage is located within the city and why it has become such a hotspot for the people in and around there. And then I believe that we can also talk about Bithur, and then slowly trying to understand that why such spaces are required within the city also, and what should be the notion of the people looking at these spaces rather than just becoming a development or a image showing projects in such sense. So I'll just share my screen. Is it
Yes, your
visible?
screen is, yeah, your screen is visible.
Okay, so I'll try to start with the land and water relation. The simple act of reaching the water is important and never abrupt. These extended areas are actually the areas of transitions, which gradually changes your experience when you come from the city to such spaces, and it depends upon the location also. So if I talk about in India, there are such contexts that where the land and the water meets and it is different. So if I talk about the religious context, so your example will be Banaras Ghats. If I talk about a water body which is within the temple complex, it is used for different types of uh, purposes. A step well where the water is very scarce, so somebody is tried to develop that relation with the water and the land in a different format. Then a moat, which is used to guard their homes or the towns. And infrastructural development, which tries to develop in a way that where the government or the people are trying to save their city or town from flooding. So so these are different types of relation according to its context. Now that helps us to understand that there is must be a cultural significance as well as a geographical significance. Cultural is more of a mythological approach, where Bithur fits in into it, and the infrastructural development of the city where the Love Kush barrage actually tries to get into picture. So we see that the two relation of land and water is being depicted in a very different way. The one is a more of a mythological or a cultural significance place, and the second is more of a geographical significance, where the government has thought to build the infrastructure. Now, first trying to understand the mythological aspect. Now, before going down to Bithur, we should understand that Ganga is that low, loci of the entire Uttar Pradesh. So you find such towns which in each 17 district, you will have such 30-40 towns, which is based on the religious, means where the land and the water meets. And it has become like a religious town in that way. So, and in all these places, if you talk about the Gad Mukteshwar, Naroras and Anup Sheher and Bithur, they have 74 days of the festival. So those are the Amavas and the Purnimas and so on. And in Sawan, you have like 1 month of complete cultural significant Mela. So all these towns have similar character. Okay, and this is one of the picture which I got from the British Library, which is a painting of 1812, which is showing a small temple as well as a ghat, which was famous as a religious significance in that. Now, coming, so why Bithur holds that significant is, as Rohan told, that Brahma did a yag. It was a birthplace for the Lava and Kusha, and then Valmiki wrote the Ramayana there. What happened, like in 1818, when Maharashtra was completely occupied by the Britishers, so all the Peshwas were exiled in Bithur. So they found a good opportunity to develop that town, and these ghats were then redeveloped by then. But in 1857 revolt, the whole town was destroyed. So the character or the influence of the Bithur actually is of Maharashtrian, as in you find a lot of buildings which you find similarity in the Maharashtrian culture also. And because of such types of festival, there is a lot of kinetic build form. Kinetic build form means which changes in days or time, like smaller melas. And so you have activities also which is similar to such characters. So you have a pindan and ferries experience, and you have holy baths and small changing rooms only for those period of time. And so all these activities are still happening, and people go there often as a religious duty. Okay, so the ghat is being used as a religious duty. It is not used for over a period of time, means this has been changed. Then during the festival, you have like in a day almost 1.5 lakh people in such smaller town visits, and a lot of load of the infrastructure comes up. And you might find a lot of activities, transitional spaces, and all the development is done with the use of bamboo and kinetic build form. So this, and the urban landscape also, so it has very small temples, and the typologies are also of the baradari, which is used during the festival time only. What is good about it, that the town is still trying to retain the architectural character of that place. So you have a series of ghats which has been used by the people, and it doesn't relate to Kanpur as such. If you see the ghats of Kanpur, it is completely different from the ghats of Bithur. Now Bithur is on the northern side of Kanpur, which is almost a 20 kilometer drive, and it is now becoming like a second home for Kanpur itself. So you have a lot of water parks and farmhouses along as in which is very closer to Bithoor. And what is very intuitive, like this, like these small trips actually give you a break from the city hustle. Now this has been happening from, let's say, from 1800s till to 2000. So a space like this was always missing in the city. So barrage, as in the Love Kuch barrage, gave an opportunity for the people to experience the same thing within the city. So city have the capability of providing something for everybody only because they are created by everybody. So in this, in the Love Kuch barrage ideology, what happened that the development, the infrastructural development was done by the government, but people started using that space according to their need, because the city had only 3 points where the city meets the water. The one was the Love Kuch barrage, the second was the Shuklaganj bridge, and the third was the Lucknow Kanpur highway, which is known as the Ganga Bridge. Okay, now Shuklaganj was the connection was made by the Britishers because they wanted to connect Unnao and Lucknow for their development of the mills. Okay, so that was made. So there was no thinking about that how the public will use as a recreational ideologies. Okay, now the Love Kuch barrage was built in 2000, and what was great about it, that you have a lot of educational campuses which were closer to it. So the HBTI campus, which was existing from 1921, you have the CSJM University, which was again existing from 1966. Then you have the city zoo also. So that zone was completely filled with youth, and they wanted a place that where they can recreate, means they can go and enjoy and also meet the Ganges. So such type of and that barrage actually gave them an opportunity to generate that space as a recreational ideology. Now what that also helped, then the government also understood that, so they made a botanical garden there, which also is now helping them to make. And then the Ganga barrage, which is Gangaji bridge, which is the Lucknow Kanpur highway, is completely covered by the tineries. So if you see, for public accessibility, there's only one place, which is the Love Kuch barrage. So everybody from the city who doesn't want to go to Bithoor and spend more, as in drive so far, for them it was easily accessible. Now what that gave an opportunity, so what happened, that barrage was built only for the infrastructural purposes, so people started to visit it more often. So you find the fishing boats, and then slowly the villages which were coming closer to the barrage started giving as in started putting up the Maggie points and the chai points, which were giving them an economic basis. Okay, so the people of barrage was just going to means to have a I should say a city break. Okay, so that made the hawkers, vendors, and the Maggie Point people to cater them slowly. And then the Atal Ghat was made in the near years, which is in, I believe, in 2014, when the government also felt that this space can become a very good recreational spaces. But what my point is that it's a social production of space. It's a heavy word, but I would say that that the people in and around had made that place a happening place, and then the government have now understood it. Now if I see that it is merely an NH 91, means it is tried to connect the northern part of the city to Unnao and Lucknow. Since the bridge was made by the government, so it has a very industrial look. So it doesn't belong to any religion, it doesn't belong to any status, it doesn't belong to any caste. So it's has developed like a democratic space where a person who is earning 100 rupees also can go and enjoy. So this point means why I'm saying that this space is developed by the people in a very neutral way. And Bithur or any other places where you have the religious influence, people means it will serve to a limited I shouldn't use that word, I believe, but to a limited religion. But here, everybody is allowed to walk in, and you see that the local people who live in the nearby residential pockets use it for morning walks, for swimming in the, and overall during the day also the series of activities changes. So in the night or during the evening, it becomes like a Maggie point, and the vendors are also doing, and the local villagers have their livelihood based on it. So in means it is providing everything. You have the economic activity, you have the social activity, and if anybody in Kanpur has bought a very fancy car, the first place he'll come is this, to show off to the city that yes, so it is slowly becoming like a democratic space according to me. And so if the barrage, so then it boils down to a question that if the barrage is so successful, then why it was not repeated in the city? Means why people didn't demand such spaces again and again? Means since if it is so, and if I see from 2000 to 2021, there's only one barrage space, and there are some 6-7 malls which has come up. So the first mall was in 2001, I believe, which is the Rave 3, and which is again very close to the Ganges. And then the Southex came up, and then Z Square, which is a very big mall as compared it to any mall in Delhi or Bombay. So that, so then I try to understand, okay, let's do a little bit of comparison that why Bithur and the ghats and the malls both are there, means all three are there. But what is the learning of the ideal space which a city or the people of Kanpur would want? So it is Bithur, since it has only 74 days of the festival, the rest of the year it is completely deserted and people don't want to go there. The barrage is used throughout the day, but it is safe only till it is crowded. And as Rohan showed that a lot of people are doing suicides, and also there's now coming that sense that people now try to avoid, means to go that much closer to the Ganges. Then the third is the mall, which has that image that it is always safe and secure, it's very clean. Okay, then the type of activities in Bithur, it is more or less, it is very fixed. It is meant for the religious activity. But in the second thing, the barrage is giving a very flexible type of recreational activities. You can play cricket, and it is depends upon the user also. And in malls, it's fixed, but a large array of activities, and it serves to everybody from a small child to an elder person. You can get involved in it. The third is the purpose. So the Bithur place is work and festival. Basically, I believe in Barrage you have a very good freedom of expression. The mall is being developed for entertainment with comfort. Then the sense of identity. So the minute I say Bithur, anybody, it has a very religious approach. The since the barrage has been developed by the people by using it again, so slowly it is becoming like a city's pride. and the malls doesn't have a sense of identity to it. The architectural character, now this is very important according to me, because the Bithur is very religious and historical, so it has a certain type of architectural character. In the Barrage, there is no architectural character actually, and the malls also has a modern and a globalized approach. So I believe that an ideal urban space should be very neutral, so it involves everybody around it. And one which is the most important is the thermal comfort. So the Bithur as well as the Barrage depends upon on the weather, so the activities also changes according to it. In summers, from like 10 to 4 o'clock, Barrage will be completely deserted because it's too hot, but malls has given that opportunity that it can be artificial control. So probably all the urban spaces should have its own microclimate, so the design of the space should be also like that. And I would like to comment on this thing. When we were seeing the visuals which some architectural firm has developed, and the political will of that place also, it showed that it is for a definite class, it is not for everybody. So currently the Barrage is a space which is for everybody. So as people of the city, as well as the government, and as a designer, we should always think about this thing, that the spaces should be built for everybody, even for a person who is going to sell balloons there. Now, if such development happened throughout the country, I don't believe that. And in whether it's a town, whether it's a city, whether it's a metro, you need such spaces where the freedom of expression should be there. And that's what makes Barrage so famous in the entire city. And to serve, these might not be the actual good examples, but still means those have been done in our country. So I believe that they try to focus a little bit on that. This is a Godavari riverfront development which was done by Mr. Architect Pradeep Sachdeva. Wonderfully done. So I will just show few visuals at how a religious development, and he tried it so nicely to make it a neutral architecture in it, as in the public spaces. And you can see that the activities which are happening here, where the kids are playing cricket, so it has been thought in a so nice way that it is accessible and used by everybody. So the main point here, that why Barrage is so famous, that it belongs to the entire city, from poorest to the rich class, and it has that accessibility to throughout the means anybody who is staying in Kanpur, whether he lives in slum to the richest, has that accessible, and he can spend his time there without actually charging also, and without thinking that this place doesn't belong to me. And this is one more where it's an infrastructural development which was done by Bimal Patel's office. So here also the architecture of the riverfront is that neutral. We can debate on it, that whether it's right or wrong or whatever, but few projects like these are happening, which is demanding that the people should use the spaces which are closer to the water. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Rajat, for this very, very, thought-provoking presentation where you compared the different types of public spaces right in the context of Kanpur. And you brought on out many things, which are, could be very interesting points of discussion about, what is an ideal public space within a city. I would like to invite anyone from the audience, if they have any questions, we can please unmute themselves and ask the question. Meanwhile, we wait for the questions. I would just, begin with a couple of points to discuss. Rajat, the need to connect with water is, primordial. So, what are the what are the commonalities in the cultural responses across the country? If you see in general, you talked about a few very important places where the city meets the river. So what would you think are the commonalities in the cultural responses in the Indian context?
See, I believe that a city has been if you take from the beginning, one is which is the most important thing for a city to develop is water. Okay, and in our culture we have tried to use the water as well as feel it like it is like a god. So the festival where the land and the water meets is very important in terms of running a city as well as enjoying that. So that's why our the whole life, actually, if you see, means it's go around the water itself. Like for example, if I see, if a child is also born, the mundan happens near the water. So it is something that every city has developed certain type of ideologies. And means if I relate to Uttar Pradesh belt, where Ganges is being treated like a god, not only in the terms of religion, okay, in terms of daily needs, in terms of the economic activity also, means the whole belt depends upon Ganges for everything. Okay, so that's why, and we have tried to celebrate that also. And it is not happening only in India, I would say. If you see the Kyoto development also, which was done along the river, the whole city is actually thriving along it. So every means all the cultures throughout the human history have tried to make water as an important part of, and in specifically in the northern belt, or even if I talk about in the southern also, the Madurai temples and all that, the whole city is revolving around the water. And and because of the religion, it become much more important. So all your festivals, all your means cities work lifestyle also revolves around it. And also the architecture, because since, see, when we are practicing it every day, when I am living living the culture like that, so my built environment also changes accordingly. Okay, so in Bitur, there means when we were doing the study, there was one house which was constructed in 1880s. Okay, and all along the Ganges. So that house in the lower floor had these two smaller temples. Okay, which and the whole house was on the first and the second floor. So I asked the owner why. So he gave me a very nice story behind it. He said that every day I go and take bath in the Ganges, come up, pray in the lower temples, and go up to my house to change, and then I go to work. And during when the Ganges basin during the rainy season, it goes up, so it comes up only till the temple. So all the temples during that time is drowned. So the architecture there has been changed accordingly, and people have developed it according to the Ganges basin. Okay, now when somebody in 18th century has understood why when we are an educated so-called class, are not thinking about it. Okay, and what the typology is also doing, it is involving anybody who is coming from outside. So that temple is prayed, means which is in a private property, is prayed by anybody who is coming for a puja or something from the outside. So it's something where we are trying to understand that how culture and how the religion can change that how the city also lives. Okay, and since Kanpur was in 1778, Britishers thought that it might be a locational advantage for them to control Awadh as well as the Bengal belt. So they made the city. But for them, the Ganges didn't play except as a transportational node. So they based all their mills and all that, tanneries and all that along the Ganges. So till now, those lands are logged. Means the mills are not in function, but still it is logged. And my point is that why Kanpurites are not talking about it. Means when you are the whole city is coming just to one place, so it is dependent. Like 40 lakh people are depending upon one place. And why they are not talking about this that we have such a huge belt all along the Ganges, and it is just closed. There's no access to it. So if people will not talk about it, it will never happen. And political will also a point, because in our country, till the political will is not there to thrive a project like that, it is very tough.
That's true. In fact, you brought out a very important point that it is the association, the value, the significance that we place with water actually determines our response to it. So in fact, while Bitur has its own cultural response, I think within the city of Kanpur, I don't know, there are other similar cases like the case of Lucknow, where in the, earlier times, there was some kind of a, connection with the river. But eventually nowadays, the only response that we see in the form of, landscape gardens or things, I think, which are very, not even connecting with the original microflora of that area or the ecology of that area. So that response, sometimes, in some way, it looks very artificial and, out of context also in some cases.
So true. I believe that now riverfront is only looked as a project which can get you votes. So they showcase it like that we have done such a large work, and without thinking that how the people were responding. Now it is just, and all the riverfront means till now, if I talk about Lucknow also, it is just serving a limited class. Means I have seen that the vendors are not allowed to enter to the riverfront. Means why? Means is it not for them? So there's a very big mismatch in that, and we as a person should feel, because certainly some of in one of us will do that work probably in future. So means we should understand that where we are and what means we are trying to develop actually. And any public space should be accessible, not in terms of physical. Means he should feel it that yes, this place belongs to me. Because by that means till that time means everybody doesn't feel that, I think we will ourselves will not respect that place. Means we often think that our public spaces are very dirty, and means the government should clean it. If I don't have an association or a memory of that, I will never respect that place. Okay, so by and large, the community or the youth or the elders or anybody should have an association. Now, in the barrage case, the people themselves have developed that place. The government has just given them a space, and somebody means a group of people probably would have started going once and twice, and they would have felt, no, this place belongs to us. So, and now if you go to barrage, and if the government even tries to stop people, no, they will revolt, because they have that sense that this space, I am a Kanpurite and this space belongs to me. So by and large, if we don't make spaces for everybody, so I believe that, and if you see uh, the older places, means the older towns, even if you had a small lake, people used to have an association with it. So strong association that till now they're fighting for it. Okay, so that I believe that such films like Rohan has done a commendable job in that, to trying to show that Kanpurites have this space, they have developed it, and they should now try to make it much better, as well as in the problems which are coming.
In fact, I think I would like to, compare this scenario with the same case as, we know that our vegetables come from the vegetable vendor or from the mall. We have lost the connection with the farmland, with the agricultural practices. And that is why those agricultural lands are now, getting converted into all real estate and commercial
Real estate,
activities.
true.
So it's a similar way, we don't know where our water is coming from. So that connection, the daily connection, the daily memory of water is somewhere, slowly, fading away. And that is why we are not, the city is no longer as a collective body of people is not any longer connected with the riverfront. Rohan, would you like to, share some of your, thoughts being a resident of Kanpur?
I think my earliest memory would be when I was 7, 8. I used to visit Bithur with my parents, and that is where that is I think that was the time when I had memorized the Hanuman Chalisa. So I went to Bithur, and so I memorized Hanuman Chalisa at the age of 4. Okay, so that was before I had started going to Bithur. So we're all bhakts of Hanumanji. So and that is where I was told the Ramayana by my father first, and so hence the connection with Bithur, and ever since I'd agree that ever since the barrage was constructed, we've stopped going to Bithur, because like sir said, Bithur is like 25 kilometers from my home. So I've lost that connect, to be very honest, because it's very far from my place. But the connect with barrage is such that even there's a feeling that there's an unrestricted access. So even at night, when my friends and I, we say it's 2 a.m, let's go somewhere, we go to the barrage. Obviously we don't step down because you won't see anything, there are no lights on in the barrage. So it's just being there. Like I said, the feeling of tranquility in absolute silence is something that you can only experience in barrage, and still not feel stranded or alone, or feel like, oh, where am I? Just the sound of the river flowing, to be very honest. And when we get there, my friends and I, in the night, we don't speak anything. We get off the car, we just sit at the steps of the barrage. I mean, the staircase that leads to the barrage, and we don't talk, we just sit there, and maybe we turn on some music. So such is the connect that there's this feeling that, oh, the barrage is mine, like sir said. And this is what every Kanpurite feels as well. So there's the barrage has to offer so many things 24/7, to be very honest. Hence the feeling of being unrestricted.
I would, as ma'am, you said that where are the vegetables coming from? I'll share a story. Means the barrage was inaugurated in 2000, and it wasn't allowed till 2003, 3 or 4 to access that. So me, as in a few of my friends and I, bunked the school, and we went to the barrage. So one of our friends said, "Yeah, Ganga itna paas hai." So you imagine the disconnect of the city till that time with the Ganges. Okay, till that space was made, means the younger generation didn't know only that Ganges is like so close to our city. Okay, so I am saying that if such spaces can happen in Kanpur, then it can happen anywhere. But as people, as a people of the city, we have to take that charge. Okay, and that connect can be regenerated only by such films.
That's very important, actually. The point of starting a conversation around water in itself, the beginning of a journey where which would actually culminate into such interesting spaces. And I think that is where we, connect to people and connect people with water. So the conversation around water has to begin. And I think, you brought out the very important point of access. And I think location is also very important, as you pointed out in your presentation, that the British also, planned a connection between the two banks of the river. But since they had no association or significance with the river, for them it was just a transit space. And somewhere the land use that developed around that initial connect also was basically as per the commercial interests only. I would now like to bring in Jiten. Jiten, you've been keeping quiet for some time. I'm sure you have some interesting, anecdotes or stories to share with us on this.
I'm actually speechless after Rajat's presentation. I think the kind of width of thought that he gave to not just Barrage, but to the overall experience and our connect with the water was beautiful. I think the comparative study just is got me thinking, and I've just been taking notes. So today, no comments from me, but I think I'm happy to see that that Rohan's and Rajat's presentations, they somehow complemented each other at some place. Rohan's obviously was more personal, experiential, and Rajat was very, very wide in scope. And I think as audiences, we just benefit to see both these perspectives, a very micro as well as a macro perspective. So for us, it's a win-win situation. Thank you both.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rajat, and thank you, Rohan, for starting this conversation around, such public spaces, organically developing public spaces, and about, giving us an opportunity to rethink our connection with water. There are most of our cities, are either, close to the river, on the banks of the river. But the fact that we are always, in a city like even Delhi, the city has turned its back towards the river. We have just like you said, there is, we don't know the Ganga is next door. I don't think any one of us has actually, taken that kind of pain or dare to venture out and connect with the Yamuna. So when we talk about the Yamuna, the only memory or thought comes to us, that comes to us is about, pollution, about, the water.
Yeah, true. That public means the image of the rivers from last 20-25 years is that only. And I believe now it's the time that we should change it now. Like in the Rohan's film, the swimmers were saying that the water is very cleanest there now. Imagine that if that whole space stinks, so you would never want to go now. So we have to think about such things, that how you can involve people with the public spaces, as well as the rivers and water bodies and all that. And one thing which is important is that, see, when like one point that a lot of suicides and all that are happening in the city at those points, I think that it will happen, means there would be somebody. But as a society, we have to think about now such public spaces is giving relief from your daily mundane of work and the pressure of life, and these spaces are actually trying to make you calm. And the more such spaces will come into picture, the better living of the city will happen. Now because I have spent a lot of time in Ahmedabad, and when I compare to Kanpur to Ahmedabad, and I always say to my family, यार Ahmedabad में एक चीज बहुत अच्छी है कि during the evening when you are done with all your work and day, you can go and relax. So it tries to calm you from your daily life, and that thing is what a public space is all about. When you don't feel it that this space belongs to me, you will never go so often, and you will never feel for it, and that space in a way is giving back a lot of calmness in the inner being also, like how Rohan said that we as in his friends and him goes in the night and it is just calm. So it is actually trying to relieve you from your daily burdens, and that if every city has it, I believe such types of suicides and all that will always, it will come down, I believe.
That's true. I think that somewhere the way we think about water is very important, because nowadays for us it is mostly like a resource to be harnessed.
Yeah.
And we are not actually looking at the other advantages, that we should be able to connect people with those kind of intangible benefits of having a
Benefits
very, very important water body or a river next to the city. So there's some way I think the city has to start, talking and speaking to these water bodies, to these, sources of water. Thank you, Rajat, for this very interesting presentation. And Rohan, congratulations to you. And we would, like to see more of your films based on being a Kanpurite. I think you should start your as a volunteer thing. You should start, a communication or a forum with your friends to just start talking about water. It's very important that the youth, the younger generation takes charge of this very important role that you guys can play. Now I'll be sharing the poster for the next session. The next play story session titled MG Marg Gangtok is scheduled for 24th October 2021 from 5 p.m. onwards. Our play storyteller for the session, Mr. Anirban Deb Roy, will be taking us on a walk on MG Marg. The place expert for the session, Dr. Prateek Sudhakaran, will take a deeper look into such vibrant public spaces for social engagement. So stay tuned for our upcoming play story.